We just spent the past 8 days in Puerto Rico, and we've learned a few things from both locals and our own experiences we want to share. Because chances are you're thinking of visiting Puerto Rico, and lucky for you, we've been on the ground, eating, sweating, and occasionally getting lost, so you don't have to. This isn't some sip out a resort pool and sip pina coladas type of trip. No, we're talking about digging into the good stuff. The real stuff. The I just got roasted by a local for my terrible Spanish kind of good stuff, but you know, that's the deal. So before you book that flight, let's talk about what you need to know. Because Puerto Rico isn't just another typical tropical getaway, it's a living, breathing, salsa and bomba dancing, history-packed masterpiece with some quirks. So let's start from the beginning with the important stuff, and later we'll talk about our number one rule when traveling to a place like this. Yes, Puerto Rico is technically part of the US. It's roughly 1,000 miles from the coast of Florida. No, that doesn't mean you should waltz in here acting like you own the place. They use the US dollar, and we found that a lot of places will actually take credit cards even deep in the mountains. And you don't need a passport if you're a US citizen. As long as you have valid identification, like a driver's license, you're good. And let's talk costs, because surprisingly, this trip didn't break the bank. Here are a few ways we were able to cut costs. Also, as a surprise to no one, food was our highest expense. So the flights. We see flight deals all the time to San Juan, and we booked these tickets thanks to a flight alert from Daily Drop Pro. Little shameless plug there. Accommodations. We had 3 stays in Puerto Rico with a nightly rate of $60, $69, and $107.
It is 7 in the morning and the roosters are quite lively today.
We didn't stay in any hotels, which kind of helped our costs a little bit, and I wouldn't count a single place we stayed at as a hole in the wall either. So I think we did a good job finding comfortable stays for a low price. It's actually pretty nice. This is our bed. Just gotta make it.
Oh yeah, this is comfy.
Our first place was right there in San Juan, actually a little bit out of the main touristy area in Santurce. Then our second stay was over on the west coast in Isabela.
Cute.
And our third stay, which we happened to book because it was our anniversary, see, we love each other, was in the mountains in the middle of the island. We booked through Alamo and used the car insurance that was provided through our credit card, which cut costs by a couple of $100. We ended up paying $292 for a 7-day rental, and I feel like that's insane. If you really want to see more than San Juan, then renting a car is a must. But be warned, driving here is its own kind of adventure, especially in the towns. Stop signs are more of a polite suggestion for some, and the rules of the road are more like guidelines, and in the smaller towns, well, you'll just learn to go with the flow. But here's the twist. Unlike the mainland, there's not a ton of speeding. So if you're renting a car, just embrace the chaos. It's the best way to see the island. And honestly, I've seen way worse driving stateside in the US. And speaking of renting a car, you'll likely start in Old San Juan, of course. But that's just the beginning. Old San Juan is no doubt stunning, but don't stop there. Puerto Rico's heart beats in places like El Yunque and the tropical rainforests and the amazing waterfalls and hikes, but you'll want to get there before all the tour buses as the parking spots are limited.
It is 7:40 in the morning. Please ignore my pimple patch on my face. I have a friend coming in that does not want to vacate his residency. Anyway, we're heading to El Yunque National Forest. We're trying to get there early because they got rid of their reservation system, so we're trying to beat the tour buses.
We had pretty much the entire park to ourselves. We were able to see a couple waterfalls, even get into the water, and then hike up to a couple towers, all before the tour buses showed up. And then when we left at about 10:30 is when the crowd started rolling in. I would definitely advise getting there in the morning because not only do you beat the heat, but you beat the crowds. Of course, if you don't rent a car, you can hop on one of those tour buses and see El Yunque as well. Also, it's a rainforest. It's probably gonna rain. Don't be like us and forget a jacket. Well, not the most ideal conditions. The rain started dumping as soon as we parked.
Travel tip, if you want a waterfall all to yourself, just go when it's dumping rain, because no one else will be here.
But then there's also the coast where you'll find some of those unique beaches that we talked about earlier, and other places you can go to like Ponce, which is the second largest town in Puerto Rico.
Really gusty film.
Now, Puerto Rico may look small on the map, but getting from San Juan to Rincon takes a couple of hours, like I mentioned earlier. So plan accordingly, and give yourself time to breathe. Each region has its own vibe, so plan to spend time in at least a few areas. And speaking of time, embrace the island time. You have to be okay with sitting down at a restaurant and waiting a little while for your service, but that's part of island life. Things move a little slower here, and that's a good thing. relax, soak it in, and don't sweat the wait. I don't know if we'll ever get better at eating on a budget, but we always find really good food. The only advice I have is to eat at local spots and don't be afraid to try the street food. Arepas are a great snack, and the bacalaitos and piones are amazing. Yes. I'm telling you now, this golden sheet of codfish fritter might be the best thing we ate in Puerto Rico.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Crispy on the outside, dense and chewy on the inside, deep fried and served up.
Dang.
Of course, empanadas, yellow rice, they're staples on the island. Comforting and familiar.
This is really good.
But if street food isn't your thing, the restaurants here won't let you down either.
So we got fish tacos for Sarah. They're supposed to be really famous for the fish tacos. I got a shrimp taco, and then I got shrimp mofongo with Creole sauce. So looks pretty good.
And if you have the opportunity, make your way up to Guavate on the weekend because the lechonaires up there are absolutely amazing. Not only do you get good food, but you also get way more than you bargained for.
And all of this food was $32.
There's no one here. And I bet when the sun gets even higher, it's gonna make the water like super clear and blue. And I hope no one comes.
Everything we did in Puerto Rico was free. The only activity related fee we had was our parking fee at Gozalandia. In 8 days, we paid $444 on flights.
Window is subjective.
$596 on accommodations, $292 on a rental car, $352 on restaurants, $18 on groceries, and $10 on activities for a grand total of $1,712 or $756 per person.
Learn some Spanish or pretend to wing it. Look, English works in a lot of places, but Spanish is number one. A little effort goes a long way. Sure, we've butchered some phrases. Dos arroz con pollo. Y carne empanada.
To go aquí?
Aquí. But when you greet someone with a few greetings in Spanish, their whole demeanor lightens up, and it's just worth it. The people here are super friendly, but they are even more friendly when they see you making an effort not to be a complete gringo.
Dame la vaca. Yeah, thank you.
Who knows it?
Dame la vaca. Then Jacinto will blast up a burst of air through the hole.
Puerto Rico has been through it.
Hurricane Maria has made landfall on Puerto Rico.
Powerful Category 4 storm Maria is hitting with 155-mile-an-hour winds.
Hurricane Maria left scars that still run deep, and economically, the island does have its challenges. We spoke about over-tourism and gentrification briefly in our last video, and that's still very real. The best way to be a good traveler here? Spend your money where it matters. Tip well, and take time to learn a little bit about the history and culture. The weather will humble you. Welcome to Puerto Rico, where you'll step outside and immediately question every clothing choice you've ever made.
And it's hot.
Really hot.
I'm sweating.
Also, it'll rain randomly for like 3 minutes.
Okay, so the plumbing situation, yeah, let's talk about it. Yes, tap water is safe here to drink, but if you're extra cautious, bottled water is easy to find. And on that note, here's a fun little travel curveball. Puerto Rico's plumbing isn't exactly built for, let's call it, excess. We've run into this a few different places we've visited around the world. If you're lucky, the place you're staying at will have a bum gun, but some don't. But look, you'll get used to it. Personally, I find it less embarrassing to throw TP away than to be the one to clog up the entire system.
Okay, so we're more than halfway through. What else should we talk about? The beaches are unreal, but they're not all the same. One thing that Puerto Rico has is options. Want party vibes? Isla Verde and Crash Boat Beach. Want a secluded paradise? Venture over to one of Puerto Rico's other islands. You want waves? Check out Domes Beach and Rincon. There's also something quite nice about standing on Puerto Rico's cliffs. The wind howls, the waves crash violently below, dropping off into an endless blue horizon. It's quite mesmerizing. Our number one rule. We always have one rule whenever we visit a new place, and that's go with local recommendations. Over the course of our time here, we really wanted to get away from the typical touristy things, so we spent a lot of time getting to know a few locals. A tour is always a good starting point, but we were lucky enough that our Airbnb host was very friendly and super knowledgeable. If all else fails, talk to people as you explore. San Juan is easy to walk around. You don't have to worry about going into a lot of detail here planning, you'll just run into plenty of things to check out.
Found the pigeon park.
Excuse me, do not, your butthole is facing me. Oh my god, oh my god.
Not once this trip have we felt unsafe. Sure, there are bad neighborhoods, just as there is with anywhere else, but even a neighborhood like La Perla is generally okay to walk around, just be smart about it. Go during the day, don't take any photos or videos without asking permission first, and walk closer to the coast. Take that with a grain of salt. Most people will tell you not to go there, and we're not telling you that you should either. We're just letting you know that it's fine to traverse if you're respectful. Most of the residents are just as nice as everywhere else, but there is drug activity that happens down there. That said, everywhere else is completely safe, and we tend to stay in areas where there are a lot of people. We don't go down back alleys, and we don't stay out much at night in secluded areas. I've never been to a city quite like this where the ocean is like right there. Like, it's not a beach town. It's just like the city and then ocean, like right there. I don't know how else to describe it other than right there. Look, right there. Puerto Rico's beauty is a privilege, not a guarantee. Do your part, whether it's cleaning up after yourself or supporting local conservation efforts. Pick up that piece of trash on the sand, remember to treat the locals with respect, and think about how you'd want someone to leave your home. Enjoy it, but don't be just a tourist. Be curious.
It's you?
Talk to locals, eat where they eat.
This is the best part. Have you tried this?
Take some time to learn some Spanish phrases.
Pero tomar una foto?
Explore beyond Old San Juan, and above all, respect the island. Puerto Rico is absolutely worth visiting, and you're gonna love it. So be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a detour, and we'll see you in the next one.